History isn't just shaped by brilliant victories. It's often rewritten by devastating mistakes. These are the most dangerous blunders in military history, where arrogance, misjudgment, or poor planning changed the course of nations. Napoleon's invasion of Russia, 1812. Napoleon marched more than 600,000 men into Russia, expecting a quick victory. Instead, the Russians burned their own crops and towns, leaving the French army without supplies. When winter set in, starvation and frostbite killed most of his soldiers. Fewer than 100,000 limped back to France, and the disaster shattered Napoleon's empire. The Charge of the Light Brigade, 1854. During the Crimean War, a vague order sent British cavalry charging straight into Russian cannons. The soldiers knew it was suicide, but rode anyway. In minutes, nearly half were dead or wounded. The charge accomplished nothing except becoming a tragic symbol of miscommunication in war. Pickett's charge at Gettysburg, 1863. On the third day of Gettysburg, Confederate General Robert E. Lee ordered 12,000 men to march across open ground against fortified Union positions. Artillery and rifles mowed them down. The charge was a disaster that ended Lee's invasion of the North and turned the tide of the Civil War. Gallipoli Campaign, 1915 to 1916. Winston Churchill pushed for an Allied landing in Turkey to knock the Ottomans out of World War I. Poor planning, harsh terrain, and determined defenders led to months of stalemate. By the end, the Allies had lost more than 250,000 men. Gallipoli became a symbol of wasted courage and failed strategy. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. Hitler thought he could crush the Soviet Union in months. Instead, he underestimated its size, its resilience, and its brutal winters. His armies became trapped in endless battles and freezing conditions. Barbarossa turned the war against Nazi Germany, leading to millions of deaths on the Eastern Front. Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, 1941. Japan hoped to cripple the U.S. Pacific Fleet and secure dominance in Asia. Instead, it awakened American resolve. The U.S. declared war the very next day, and Japan's gamble led directly to its defeat, and the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. Hitler refused to retreat from Stalingrad, ordering his men to fight to the last. Surrounded and starving, over 300,000 German troops were lost. The defeat marked a turning point in World War II, proving that Hitler's obsession could destroy his own army. The Bay of Pigs invasion, 1961. The CIA trained Cuban exiles to overthrow Fidel Castro, but the plan was poorly executed with no real air support. The invasion force was crushed within 3 days. Instead of weakening Castro, it pushed Cuba closer to the Soviet Union and set the stage for the Cuban Missile Crisis. Escalation of the Vietnam War, 1960s to 1970s. U.S. leaders believed superior firepower could defeat guerrilla fighters. They underestimated Vietnamese determination and overestimated public support at home. After years of bloody fighting, the U.S. left in humiliation. The war eroded trust in government and scarred a generation. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, 1979 to 1989. The Soviets thought they could prop up a friendly regime quickly. Instead, they were dragged into a decade-long guerrilla war. U.S.-backed Mujahideen fighters bled the Soviets dry, and the war contributed to the collapse of the Soviet Union itself. The Iraq War, 2003. The U.S. invaded Iraq on faulty intelligence about weapons of mass destruction. While Saddam Hussein was toppled, the aftermath was chaos. Insurgency, civil war, and the rise of extremist groups destabilized the region for decades. The war cost trillions and eroded U.S. credibility. Chernobyl-style military disaster, K-19 nuclear submarine, 1961. Not all blunders happen in battle. When the Soviet submarine K-19's reactor failed, poorly trained crew scrambled to fix it. Exposure to radiation killed many and revealed how close mismanagement could bring the world to nuclear catastrophe. The fall of Singapore, 1942. British commanders believed Singapore was an impregnable fortress, but Japanese forces advanced through the jungle, an approach the British dismissed as impossible. The city fell in days, and over 80,000 Allied troops surrendered in one of the worst defeats in British history. The Maginot Line, World War II. France poured resources into a massive defensive wall along the German border. But when war came, Germany simply went around it, invading through Belgium. Billions of francs and years of effort couldn't stop France from falling in just 6 weeks. From Napoleon's frozen army to America's missteps in Iraq, these disasters prove one thing. Wars are often lost not just by the enemy's strength, but by our own mistakes. So, which do you think was the most dangerous mistake in military history? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Echosphere for more lessons from the past that still echo today.